when I'm editing my shows and stuff, I use something called wavelength,
right?
And it doesn't react the same way as like things like Audacity. So like when you click the cursor and the line hits a certain spot, it won't stop. It'll keep playing. So sometimes it'll be like repeat the same thing over and over and over again, and it drives me crazy. But yes, the sound of my own voice does grate on me sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, wow, well done, Whiteley, you knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you got a better voice than me for that sort of stuff.
I think so. Sometimes when I'm a bit fatigued and a bit tired, I'll be like, welcome to the it's one of them. It's either or.
Yeah.
So welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit, guys. I just hit record. We're going straight into this.
Let's do it.
Yeah, man.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, I was recording whilst I was chatting about boring stuff that people probably wouldn't normally, care about. And thank you for joining me on the show. I've got to explain. I've invited Gareth on the show here from Rocking Horse.
Yep.
Rocking Horse. I'm not going to say the other word.
Yeah, that's it.
Confuse people. And Gareth helped me out a while ago with a short film festival that I joined, or competition that I joined. And I needed someone to help me teach me how to learn how to edit in a short space of time and how to make the most of my time. And you were brilliant, actually.
Thank you. It was because you didn't get in touch until just before it as well. It was only that week, wasn't it?
Yeah,
a couple
it was
of days
only a week before. Yeah. Well, we found these guys quite late on. I just wanted to cover the festival. In all honesty, I wanted to get involved with something like that. It was for you, Sock, right? So it was like we look at US and UK culture and kind of how things differ. Now, like short films and things like that, that's right on the money for us. So I was like, let's do that. And they were like, oh, you can take part if you want. I said, okay. And then they were like, it's £25 to enter. I was like, okay. And then you were like, and it's next week. And I was like, oh, okay. I kind of put myself up against. I had never made anything like this in my entire life. I mean, I've thrown little clips of things together. I think I did like a time-lapse video of me packing all my stuff to go to a festival once, or to some event, and edited all that stuff on my phone. Silly little things like that I'd done, but not like dubbing in audio. And the thing about this video was as well, it was 5 minutes long, and I was like, what can you do in 5 minutes long?
Yeah, and if I remember rightly as well, it was during lockdown, wasn't it? So you didn't have access to cameras or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I didn't realize, but a lot of the people that were taking part in this thing were semi-professional filmmakers, like they make adverts and things like that. So they had like the good cameras and the good microphones, but the emphasis on this was you could rock up with an iPhone, and make something good, and they wouldn't even look at that. And I came up with this really ambitious idea of recording this thing from 3 different parts of the world. So there was me, obviously in Shrewsbury, Tom, that was in Vermont, and Lucy, who's down south, in the UK. So what my idea was, it was all based on phone calls and chatting to people. So I would ring up Tom in Vermont. He would record the video on a tablet. I would record his audio on the H6, which was hidden under the bed. So I was pretending to be on the phone, and we used these microphones here, which are amazing. Thank you, Aston, for these microphones, helping me out with these because they're amazing. But I was using it as a boom, technically. So then what I would do is I would use the phone audio that I was getting off Tom, record it on the H6, so it sounded great. He was like, it sounded as though he was next to me on the phone. And then the audio from the room, and then I'd dub it over his tablet footage that he got, so it would sound as though we were great.
Yeah.
I didn't realise how hard that was going to be.
Yeah, it's like anything, I suppose. When you start to do it for yourself, you start to appreciate how much goes into those little things,
Yeah.
Just to, pull it all together. Editing, I mean, how long did it take you to edit all that? Because editing is probably the longest part of the whole process.
A whole night.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I did an interview with the great and powerful Mark Summers, who's America's answer to Neil Buchanan from Art Attack.
Right, I did see, yeah.
He launched Nickelodeon. He was a great guest. Anyway, so I spent chatting to him. I was about 9:30. I started editing straight after that. Got to about midnight, and I realised I'd used all the wrong audio and all the wrong clips. So I had to literally delete it and start all over again.
Soul destroying that, and when it happens.
Yeah, and the people that were doing this, it was the 4 Walls Challenge, and it was made by Reel, a real film festival, and the community were really good because I'd meet up on Zoom, chat, and apparently that happens a lot.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay, so we talked a bit about kind of how you helped me, because you were great at explaining things. This is what I said to you, is like, in a short space of time, we spoke on the phone for about an hour, having not met each other or spoken to each other, and you're like, this is what you need to do. You need to make a shot list, and you need to make this, and you need to do this. And I was like, okay, and I went and did it, and it worked fine. But let's find out a bit about you. So what is Rocking Horse? Explain to me what Rocking Horse is.
Rocking Horse hasn't really done an awful lot for the last 12 months. We're about to do something about that. In fact, this is the first real public kind of announcement or chat we've actually put out there on record in a year. But Rocking Horse, what it is, it's a video and digital media production company, which sort of operates on two different levels, if you like. Creatively, we produce short films. We've always had this long-term ambition of producing our own feature film, which is still the dream and the aim. But as well as that, for what we do for local businesses, is we produce promotional videos, corporate stuff, it might be to advertise an event, or a local business who just wants to get their name out there a bit more. Especially with the advent of social media, of course, videos now are so powerful and so effective for businesses.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wish I could do a lot more that was a bit more visual. Oh my God, that sounds so much better. I wish I could do a bit more visual stuff, but I'm not very good at it, as you can tell. I mean, I showed you my video. It was.
I think you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting used to it, but I would like to do it, because YouTube and like visual things on Facebook, those videos, that's where it's at. Yeah.
I mean, even if you look at a lot of local radio, even, or certainly the bigger radio stations, whilst it's radio, you often see they've got like webcams up or whatever, and you can often watch the shows online as well as, listen to them.
Yeah, I remember when they started doing stuff like that with like Chris Moyles and things like that. You can watch online. Yeah. Well, that was back in the day when it was all like, bitty webcams and stuff, But I mean, look at the likes of like Joe Rogan, things like Joe Rogan on YouTube. $100 million he was given to go from YouTube to exclusively on Spotify, and that's where it can go.
Yeah.
And that's a quality conversation that you can see, and you can see people's reactions and things like that. It almost feels like you're there. I love nothing better than to just throw on Joe Rogan, even if it's like a 3-4 hour long podcast, and just relax and just feel like you're there. Like, but it's eye catching, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
So what when you released your first bout with Rocking Horse?
Yeah.
Who did you work with then? Did you?
All sorts of people. I mean, the film itself, the long term goal, which I wrote the script for myself, was called Run for Your Life. It was raising awareness of autism, domestic violence, and essentially the main thing was anti-bullying.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, we went all the way to London to meet the Anti-Bullying Alliance at one point. Took our lead actress down there and had a chat with them and got their support, that kind of thing. We've also worked with a local charity, well, not quite a charity, but certainly a support group in Shrewsbury for survivors of domestic violence. And with autism, we've worked with one of the consultants on the Undateables programme. Channel 4 got her involved, so to better understand, people on the autistic spectrum and, sort of how to handle that and make sure they're doing it justice, really. So I thought, well, if it's good enough for Channel 4, it's good enough for us, And that connection, for instance, all that came about was we got hired to go and produce a promo video for a local pub. Someone doing the DJ in that night said, "Oh, I've got this friend who, does autism consultancy and all this sort of stuff," and that's how the connections get made. Sometimes
networking's great, isn't it?
You don't go there thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm going to definitely find someone to help the film here," but that's how it happens a lot of the time.
And this is the world we live in now. I mean, I've been in the studio today since about 9 o'clock. I got here, I set up the studio, and to anybody that's walking by, it looks like I'm just fiddling with my phone, but in essence, I'm sitting there and I've written emails and I've spoken to people and I've organised shows, and I had a lady just emailed me with press releases for a couple of future guests that we can come on. These things that it looks like I'm just fiddling with my phone, but you're not. You're connecting, you're networking, and this is the world we live in, the digital era.
Absolutely. I mean, with us now, we've had various different offices and various different premises over the years, but now my office is actually inside my house. I've got a dedicated office space, not dissimilar to what you've got here, really. But when people say, "Oh, so what have you been up to today?" "I've just been at home," they think you just listen to music or whatever, but you can get as much done there, and might not look like you're doing too much. I mean, you can spend, I would say, maybe 4 or 5 hours editing the smallest piece of video.
Yeah.
And people come and look at it, "Well, what have you been up to all day?" But that's sometimes how long it takes.
I mean, this show is very much powered by my phone and my laptop. Without those two things, and of course the microphones and things that go into it. But if it wasn't for my laptop, I couldn't edit. And I couldn't release the audio, and I couldn't design the artwork that I make. Those sort of things. And without my phone, I couldn't network. Social media is a massive thing. How long has Rocking Horse been going?
Well, as a company, officially 5 years, but it's actually predates that a bit. I mean, the idea for the film was 8 years now. 8 years in working on this. Lots of people have come and gone. A few have stuck with it. Some haven't, for a variety of reasons. Because people just get older. It's one of those things. I've had lots of setbacks, and one of the things we really want to establish and put out there, so I suppose it's my first opportunity to say it really, is we have also let people down in the past, be it businesses or actors and all the rest of it. Because when you've got this big ambitious thing you're going to work on, all it takes, when you're relying on favours and goodwill and all that sort of stuff, all it takes is for one person to pull out and the whole thing collapses. It's like a house of cards. So you make all these promises that, we're going to make it this year, we're going to make it that year. And then that doesn't happen. You do have to take responsibility. You do have to accept, I let quite a few people down. So Rocking Horse coming back is our way of saying, look, we got it wrong. We took a year out to work out what went wrong. This is us coming back saying, we're bigger, we're better, we're more sensible, more business minded, but at the same time we haven't lost that same passion. We still want to produce that film, but this time round we're not going to be as naive. We've learned the hard way. So
can we elaborate on kind of what happened, or is it not something you want to go into?
It is and it isn't. It was a lot of things, like location, for instance. We worked with local colleges 2 years apart. For whatever reason, from their point of view, they didn't feel they could go through with it, even though they'd already agreed to do it. I think one of the issues is when you're working with schools, colleges, they always, obviously, any school or college wants to stamp out bullying, but the odd thing we were finding, even though our film has a positive ending, the bully, without giving away too many spoilers, the bully realises the error of her ways and turns decent and helps her victim, if you like, out, and the victim becomes a survivor and is better off for it and all that. So it's a good message. But an awful lot of schools and colleges, local ones, saw it as, if people see this film and they recognise it as our location, they might think that bullying happens here. And they were more worried about protecting their own reputation than recognising the long-term potential that actually this could do nothing but good for your reputation, because you're prepared to accept it happens, because it happens everywhere, doesn't it? Any business, any walk of life, whether you're 50 or 5 in nursery, there's probably kids who go around and take someone else's train set. Or if you're in college, university, in jobs and things.
Work. I mean, they're talking. I saw a stat. I can't remember who it was I was talking to, that bullying in the workplace has gone up exponentially over the last few years. And I suppose social media and things like that doesn't really help. No. We just talked about how great social media is, but it can also be a burden. And I've learned that. Absolutely. But yeah, so that was a large part of it. But interestingly, one of the reasons that we've decided this is the time to have another go, and a lot of people involved with the film don't even know this is the case yet. So hopefully, if you listen to this, where I've spoken to you personally, I do apologise. But we found the competition. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head now, but we're very excited about it. It's set in the States, and probably not dissimilar to what you found. Yeah. But interestingly, this one, it's called Found Footage or Lost Footage Competition. They want to reward the greatest failure, if you like. They want to know about the projects that never quite came off. Oh, okay. So suddenly, our film, and locally, I know for a fact that people probably, I'm not going to say laugh at us, but there's probably a certain element of embarrassment. Like, you get these great ideas, but where's the end product? But we're aware that that's what's said. Where's the substance to the dreams? Well, suddenly overnight, this competition has made us from being outsiders. Suddenly, we've got a real good chance of actually winning something, and on the line is $10,000 worth of filmmaking equipment. I mean, is that the case, or is that you putting a lot of pressure on yourself and being a little bit disappointed in you can make your vision become a reality? Yeah,
absolutely, and you do have to accept responsibility for the mistakes. Like you running this podcast. For all the good times, if anything was to go wrong, it's your head on the line, isn't it?
It does. It does go wrong all the time. I mean, the idea I had with the other show that I do. Thor's Kin. I always have to do new listeners in the show. I used to do a show called Thor's kin. Okay, thought skin. And it was a good time. But we got a bit swearing, a little bit careless with things we were saying and doing, and I wanted to create something that was still, still lads chatting around, the odd swear word, talking about freely, but a bit more structured and a bit more, a bit more credibility about us, So I started. I put lots of work into You Suck. I created 3 shows, a huge team, great production value, and we released during the COVID-19 thing where every person on the planet was making a podcast. So we hit a real bad start up. It was terrible. But look, things are starting to pick up now. And I the reason I'm explaining that to you is I relate to you with having this grand vision and this great idea, and things just not going your way, whether it's your fault or not. It's a lot of pressure you put on yourself.
Yeah, there is. I mean, what I would say is for all of the dreams that we built up and lots of young people, because of course the film it's set in a college, so it's got a lot of young people involved in it, and a lot of people gave up a lot of time, some of them years, but every time we said, they're going to happen this year, and it didn't. Not a single word ever left my lips or anyone's lips to do with Rocking Horse was ever a lie. It was, but what looking back we realised we believed it was going to happen, but we were relying on lots of people doing their bit, and when some people don't, then you find yourself letting a lot of people down.
Yeah.
But we never went into the reasons for it because, genuine or not, it just sounds like excuses after a while. So I'd rather just take it on the chin and say, look, I messed up, guys. I've taken a year to work it out, and now I'm ready.
Is it a case of now finding other projects to work on? That way you can build up that credibility now, just be like,
absolutely,
this is what we can do if we do it right.
Exactly. We want to really sort of go headfirst into the short film market, because we realised, looking back, we went straight in for the big one. It's like a five-a-side football team entering the World Cup. We were bang up against it from day one, but that was the dream. Now we're not abandoning that dream. We're actively, with this competition, we've given ourselves a massive wake up, a massive chance to actually get the film made. But in the meantime, like you said, we want to work with local businesses. We want to get some short films out there and show people on a smaller scale what we're capable of, and hopefully then build that back up towards another one last attempt at really having a good stab at the feature film. Yeah.
Now, I mean, of course, you're in Oswestry, but I noticed you've been working with a lot of people from Shropshire,
Yeah.
So I thought, let's get Gareth on here and we can talk about how we can help. People. I mean, if there's someone in Shrewsbury that wanted their business glamifying on social media and stuff,
that's exactly what we're there for. I mean, the thing is, what's weird about it, obviously you get a lot of people who can offer, say, business consultancies and all that sort of stuff, helping businesses get better. And that's great. But for us, because we've been through the mill and we've let people down and we've got things wrong, no one knows better how to turn a business around than we do, because we've had to do it with our own business. So the fact we're even having this conversation proves that we can get businesses out of trouble just by the way they promote themselves, that kind of thing. Because we realise now, I've done a lot of work on this. I've taught myself a lot of this stuff, like logged into seminars and all these different things, experts in the field. Say if you came to me 5 years ago and said, I need a video doing, I might have told you how long the video would be, what camera I've got, all that sort of stuff. But we've now realised, we've gone away, worked on our product and what we can offer. Businesses now, they don't really give a monkey's what camera you've got too much. What they want to know is, how can that video impact my business? So now, rather than just giving you a video, making you go out there and do what you've got to do with it, we want to look at, we'll ask you questions like, okay, so what part of your business is not doing so well? And then we'll think about what sort of videos we can do. And then working alongside you, almost be more like consultants to your business than just straight video guys, We'll also look at your social media, see what's working, what isn't, and give you some advice. As well as a video, you get a bit more one-to-one care than just saying, right, there's your video, it's up to you what you do with it. So hopefully that will be more appropriate and more helpful to businesses than just saying, yeah, here's your video.
Yeah, I think so too. It's all about the aftercare, kind of. Yeah. This is where I reckon you should do with it. This is what's worked for me in the past.
Precisely.
This is what for such and such. I mean, I've had those the very frank conversations with people. I'm having a nightmare with my mic today. Very frank conversations with people where I've talked about the kind of impact that the biscuit has as opposed to other people, and the questions I get asked are, are you visual? I'm like, no, just audio. And they're like, well, videos get 200% more views. And I'm like, well, have you seen my face? I don't want to be on YouTube. I mean, there are plans to do that in here or in the studio. But you've got to stick to your niche, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I am. This is the Shrewsbury Biscuit. It's an internet radio show. That's what I have to explain to people. How has it been? Because you're very humble in how you talk about the mistakes that you've made.
Yeah.
But what have you learned from it?
Not to promise what I want. Make sure I can back it up first.
Yeah, not to make the grand.
Yeah, which is brutal to admit that out loud, but it's the truth of it. And I think if we're going to get another go at this, because we've got to, like you said earlier, we've got to prove to people we can be trusted again. We know that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big things in doing that will be, if I just turned up a month after it all fell apart last time and said, look guys, let's go again. The reason it's taken this long is because we want to make sure that we're, that if we're going to do it, we want to go away, lick our wounds and make sure we are fully prepared, and we absolutely are now. So for me it would be learning not to promise what you can't back up.
Yeah, and that is hard. I mean, I've done that loads of times out here. Yeah, we can do this, we can do that, and it falls through. That does hurt. And what have you worked on in the past that you're really proud of? Apart from the movie, is there anything that you look at and you're like, even if it's just like an advert you've made that you just, that just felt so right?
Yeah, for me, one of the favourites would be because we put a lot of time, effort, and even money into promoting our audition processes, audition campaigns for various parts for the film. One of them, it was around this time of year, actually, a few years back now. We were advertising for the role of the character's dad, who it turns out was actually a real nasty piece of work. I mentioned domestic violence and psychological abuse. That's basically him. He's very, very nasty to his daughter, who's got autism, in such a clever way that she doesn't even realise he's doing it. So it was the villain, if you like. So we shot with the girl who was playing the character at the time, a really talented little actress called Becky. So we got her in. She'd already been cast, and we filmed this whole real sinister looking setup, but we had like a rocking horse of all things in a bedroom and lit like a doll on the side and all this sort of stuff. But we made it real dark, and we had the old classic not fairy tale, little sing-song from centuries ago, Ring a Ring of Roses, which of course was actually about the plague, if you actually knew the history of it. But it's an iconic like children's song, but we found a really sinister sort of slow piano version. So she's there waiting for her dad, but when you went to watch it, the way she put her voice across and the way I directed her, the way it was shot, you realise that this isn't a nice man. But it was done in quite a it almost looked like a trailer for a horror film. And we put that out just in time for Father's Day, and that was sort of like we were playing on that, sort of like Jess is waiting for her dad this Father's Day, could it be you, that kind of thing. That one was probably for me the favourite thing we've ever put out, to be honest.
Those bits where you can look at it and you're like, I was in the zone that day. Yeah,
it was inspired, to be fair. And like many others, I look back at them, I think at the time we put them out, like you do with anything, I suppose. Maybe you've done it with your earlier podcast. You put something out and you get loads of like hits on it and all the rest of it, and you think it's amazing. You watch it back a few years later and you think, really? I've done that with the videos. Some of them. I remember we did a Remembrance Parade video in Oswestry, and at the time we thought it was amazing. We look back at it now, it's so shaky, the camera work, and it's so cheesy. But back then, Oswestry wasn't used to people doing videos at their events. They loved it.
Yeah.
I think it's like anything. If they're not used to something, you don't really have to do too much to impress them.
Exactly. I mean, like, I used to put so much emphasis on. I have gone back and listened to my very first podcast before. I've done it a few times, and with the Biscuit as well. And it's cringy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I used to put so much emphasis on the best thing I think I've learned is just to relax.
Yeah.
Just relax.
It's
Take that stick from up your backside and just relax, because the best thing people enjoy is someone that's having a great time, having a great conversation in a relaxed manner.
Yeah.
That's what I like. That's the organic kind of conversation.
It's about slowing down, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think when you panic, you just blurt it all out a million miles an hour, and then no one can understand what you're saying.
And people of my family will definitely say that's a very good. I mean, like, I used to talk so quickly and I used to be so hyperactive. So for me to be like, Hey,
Yeah.
welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit. You know,
It's the opposite of what you want to do when you're nervous, isn't it? But it actually helps big
it does,
time.
yeah, it really does. What inspired you to get into movies? What was your calling?
The thing is, I was never professionally trained in terms of going to university and doing some fancy film course. We've actually helped an awful lot of people along the way get onto film courses since, which is ironic, really. I'm setting everyone else up for the career I wanted. But years ago, me and my best friend at the time, when we were like 15 years old, we used to write scripts, and we were bored in science, whatever, in school. We'd come up with all these great ideas for stories and all the rest of it. But then life gets in the way. You just get on with life, you know. You grow up, you find the pub or a job, whatever. And then I was doing some grotty night shift in a hotel in Oswestry. I was a bit bored. I just whipped out a laptop and I thought, you know what, I've got an idea. So I thought, what if we could produce? Originally, it was going to be some sort of pantomime. I acted like one in the end because we still haven't finished it. But so I came up with this idea, and I was thinking, okay, what's the next big event coming up, which I could link it in with to get some traction, to get some support for it. And this was about November time, and the next big event, other than Christmas, was going to be Sport Relief. So I thought, okay, Sport Relief, what's that about? What could we sort of fit around that? And I thought, well, what about someone who's good at athletics but gets bullied? You're using sport to overcome bullying and all that kind of thing. And I reckon that I could produce something, turn it around, and have it ready to be performed in like 3 months. 8 years on, I'm still here. So the reason I decided to, we created this story, we realised there wasn't any special effects in it, there wasn't anything over the top, and it's very, very, very naively, I said naivety was a big part of the mistakes from the past. I said, well, it can't be that hard to make it, because there's no car chases or, you know, anything like that. Let's give it a go. It can't be that difficult. It can. So because of that, we thought, well, rather than send it off to the BBC or whatever, why don't we do it ourselves? Famous last words. And so I learnt about cameras, I learnt about filmmaking, all that sort of stuff, because I didn't have a director, I didn't have a film company, because there wasn't one around. We literally became the very thing we needed to get that particular story made, and that's everything since has just been self-taught. I remember years ago, I was actually, because I'm from Shrewsbury originally, went to Shrewsbury College, sixth form college it was, and they wouldn't let me do film studies. I've always remembered that, thinking, right, I'm going to come back here one day, and I'm going to, you know, because we nearly got that college involved with the film, and I thought that was always quite ironic that the college that said I couldn't do film studies come back as a, you know, self-made film director.
I always remember I wanted to do graphic design in school. It was in Telford, and I think 8 people applied for the class. You know, when you're in year 9 and you choose your options, 8 people, and they're like, it's not enough people. I was like, but it's what I want to do. So I had to choose religious studies instead, which I didn't really care about. That's a really bad thing. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I like the fact that you're focusing on bullying and that kind of environment. I mean, what's the influence there? How come that came across?
You know, the classic, like, cliche thing they're supposed to say is, oh, I was bullied as a kid and all that rest. I wasn't, to be honest, but I was friends with lots of people who were, because I was quite geeky in school, quite quiet. Changed a lot, hopefully. I'll let you decide that. But I did see a lot of it going on. But what's weird is the amount of people who've got involved with the film since the beginning, who are either, we never advertise, right, we want to work with autistic people, but the amount of people on the spectrum who have got involved because they want to see this film happen. Because if you actually look at it, I mean, things are getting better now. Like the A Word is on TV every year, but that focuses very much on the parents in an autistic environment rather than the child. Rain Man obviously is the famous one, but that is so unrelatable to ordinary people just going to school or college, you know, living in an everyday sort of life. So with our character, Jess, her name is Jess Andrews, there isn't an autistic hero for an everyday sort of person just going to school, college, whatever. You know, the A Word is not the A Word. There's a one on Netflix. I forget what it's called now.
13 Reasons?
No, it's about this autistic lad. There's a couple of seasons. It's really good, actually. It's a really good interpretation of autism. But other than that, in terms of a feature film, there isn't an autistic hero who could just be, anyone. We wanted to make Jess so relatable. She could literally be you or me. Who could go through everyday, ordinary problems. There's nothing over the top and dramatic. Okay, it is a bit dramatic at times, like any film, but it's real and it's believable. One of the things I've always been proud of from a script writing point of view, because that's what I started off at before filmmaking. I did come 5th in an international script writing competition at one point. one thing that I've always been proud of, never mind the film not happening, is all the people that have read the script, whether it's for an audition scene or whether it's getting experts involved. They've all said about how lifelike, how believable and how real it was compared to their own experiences. When we cast for this nasty father thing I was telling you about before, we actually had this charity I mentioned, this support group for survivors of domestic violence. We had a couple of them in to sit on our audition panel, and the people auditioned didn't realise who they were, but they were there to assess how closely we were getting to it in terms of the performances of the actors, but also the quality of the script. And they all said about how it brought back so many memories for them, what it was really like to live in that situation. And I was always quite humbled by that, you know. I suppose the only other example, there was a funny scene we did once. It wouldn't even be looked at as a particularly important scene, but there was a bit of humour in it. And the guys who were judging auditions with me hadn't read the script yet for this particular scene. And then when the funny bit came up, they all started laughing. And I thought, it was such a little thing, but we thought, well, if they're laughing, maybe an audience would. And you sort of realise, okay, I'm on the right lines here.
I mean, script writing it's an art. It really is an art. I mean, like some actors out there will only pick a film on the strength of the script,
yeah.
You know, and how quickly it grabs them. You know, I mean, I wrote the script for that little thing, and it wasn't. I mean, I don't know, man. I put a lot of work into that script. I wrote this amazing script, and Tom was like, "You do realise, like 10 pages is like 30 seconds of film or something like that." You know, it was like you need to put a lot of work into it. So I was like, "Okay, let's do that," and I did it. And they were like, "It's got to be 5 minutes long," and I was like, what? I had to kill off. I had to rip that script to shreds.
It's tough. I mean, this competition we're going to enter, which hopefully, without being too melodramatic about it, it's hopefully going to be almost like the resurrection of the film and that, because the way you qualify this competition is you need to have failed the most, and I think we're up there. One of the things that it's got to be a 60-second video. That's all you've got to get across what it was about, why it failed, what you do differently. Now, if you can imagine 8 years of history and of all the setbacks and the trials and tribulations, and you've got to cram that into 60 seconds, that's going to be tough. But you know, it's a massive opportunity. But it is difficult sometimes to, you know, it's harder to. I've often been told. I think when I was first starting out as a scriptwriter, one of the examples I got told, an analogy was, the script is okay. That's easy enough. If you're good at it, you're good at it. But what they call the log line, which is basically summing the whole thing up in 2 sentences maximum.
That's hard.
Yeah, and they've compared that to trying to vomit into a thimble.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that. I think it's harder taking stuff out than it is putting it in easily.
I find it really hard. I mean, I do when I release episodes for this biscuit. I mean, I have an opportunity to explain what's on this episode, and I don't like to ramble on too much, but at the same time, I want people to like enjoy the show and be sold on it, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, this is Alan Junie speaking to Gareth from Rocking Horse, where we talk about, and if it's like more than 3 paragraphs long, I'm kind of like, nope, take this out. But I think what's taught me the most actually with editing words is Twitter. Twitter's been great because it can be so frustrating sometimes when you got lots to say about such a short space, you know. It's really difficult. You know, I think over time you learn certain skills and certain ways to go about things. And I guess with your experience over the last 8 years, it's taught you quite a bit on how to deal with certain problems. I mean,
I remember years ago I was sat in a pub. I wasn't drinking. I was being professional. That's where I was meeting someone, because that was how we used to do it. We didn't have an office. We didn't have a company then. You know, it was real early days.
Pub.
Yeah. And someone was asking what the film was about, and looking back, I remember they interrupted me about halfway through this spiel, which must have been half an hour long. And I was telling them, and then Jess does this, then Jess does that, then this happens, then she gets bullied, then she runs a race, and all the rest of it. And I realised that, to me, that's really exciting. But to anyone else who just wants to know what the film's about, you're chewing their ear off. You know, what I should have done is get it across in 2 or 3 sentences. And then if they start to ask you questions, then you can go into more detail, because then you've got them then. But if you have to stand there and give them half an hour speech without reply, then the chances are they're switching off.
Yeah. And then you have those bad days as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've tried to get into like bits of voice acting and things like that. You know, I really feel like on my good days I can do any accent and I can make it sound convincing and it'd be great, right? And in fact, a big shout out to Ash Wilding from Incognito over there in Shifnal. We started work. I'm clicking a pen. That's really annoying. He cast me as the main character for this animated movie he's making, and it's amazing. And he got me doing this New York accent, real gruff, like I was in the streets, and I love doing that sort of thing. But he came up with had so many problems. Like he wrote the script. I think we recorded like at least 90% of the script. He read it back, he listened to a lot of it back, and this is animated. Like, imagine like a Grand Theft Auto style animation, but with like us voice actors going over it. That's what he was doing. And he realised that a lot of the American words, the script was too English for an American movie, so he had to rewrite the whole script to get some American. So like, to go from a film that's 90% recorded and ready to go to like starting all over again. I mean, my little problem was for a 5-minute thing. So imagine a whole movie must be heartbreaking.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Especially when you realise that it's not just you that's just getting mucked about. It's all those other people who have committed so much time. We got to a point when your Cineworld here in Shrewsbury. They're not. I'm going to say management now, so I'm not holding them to it. We'll have to. Like I said before, we've got to work our way back up to the top of the tree, if you like. Yeah. But there was a point when they were loving it. Just on concept, they haven't even seen an end product. They said, "Yeah, we'll put a screening on." Not necessarily a public one. They'd have to see the film and judge whether they thought it was worth it. But they were certainly prepared to open up a cinema screen just for us lot to go and watch our film on that screen. That's how close we got. The cinemas and stuff were here, and also one in Towin, which is by Barmouth, which is where half the film's set there because Jess grows up there as a child. They wanted it too, so we had 2 cinemas who had already signed up to have this film shown. The only problem was we hadn't filmed it yet, so we ticked so many boxes. But then when it came to the crunch,
the red tape,
it was always something.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking for you. I mean. But look, I mean, I got you on here to talk about Rocking Horse, of course, but also to offer your services as a way to help people around here, because that's the emphasis on the next sort of few weeks on the Biscuit is talking about local independent businesses, events, charities. I keep saying this, but have you had many people come up to you and say, "Look, I've opened my shop. I need a video doing." Do you get that quite a bit?
We used to, not so much at the minute, because the fact that we've had like complete radio silence, if you like, for 12 months. I don't think a lot of people either they've forgotten about us or even though we're still going really. Hence why when we do come back, it's going to be rebranded. I said to you when we spoke before the show the other day, we're taking studios out of the name. It used to be Rocking Horse Studios. We're taking it out of the name. We're going back to basics. It's just going to be Rocking Horse. And just to show to people, look, we're not going to pretend we've got some fancy studios when we haven't. It was never a pretense, but it certainly might, looking back, it might sound like something it's not. Now we're going to be very much more real, upfront.
Transparent,
yeah. And we want to call ourselves Rocking Horse Studios again, but the long-term plan is we've got to earn that right. You can't just say it. Let's back it up first. Yeah. So I think a lot of local businesses, to answer your question, aren't really aware of what it is we do, and hopefully things like this show are going to help with that.
So, say somebody from the parade here is opening it. Say Manola was on the show Monday. Say Manola, who does eyelash extensions, gets in touch with you now. What was the first conversation be like with you guys? How would you sell what you do?
What it would do, either be with myself or a lovely girl called Charlie, who basically mans the phones, does all the admin stuff, who were looking to have a sort of like the voice of the business. And she would just talk them through, she'd ask questions about their business rather than ours, because we want to help your business. We can talk about our business all day long, but as you can tell, but this is about them. So we'd ask questions. We'd ask him, okay, so how are things going? What's your background? Like you sort of question you've asked me, just so we can get to understand the person behind the business. Because we think, most local businesses, they're family run, or they're certainly run by individuals we could talk to in the street. As get to understand them as people and understand why they do what they do. That's the starting point. And then from there we can start looking at options. We probably go and pay them a visit, have a look around. Yeah. In terms of prices and stuff, we're very fluid and flexible in the sense that every business is different. Say if McDonald's come to me, which isn't very likely, and say, "Oh, can you do us a video?" I'm going to charge them a lot more.
500 grand. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to charge them a lot more than I'm going to charge Joe Bloggs, who's got a little bookshop around the corner, which we all love. So we'd look at things like that. So we keep it very, very flexible. In terms of what people can afford, what people need, that kind of thing. Yeah. But first and foremost, even if you don't take us up on it, we want you to go away feeling that we were friendly, that we were, open, that you could, relate to us, that we're easy to talk to. That's the number one thing. Even if you don't take us up on the offer, at least go away with a positive feeling that Rocking Horse is back. And you know what? Those guys are, they're nice guys, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important. I mean, I talk a lot about adding context to the sign above your door. Like you may walk past a shop like a million times throughout your life, never go in there.
Yeah.
But as soon as you hear something on the biscuit or you see a video that you've made for someone on Facebook, it's like, oh, actually, might go in there. They seem all right. Look, did you see the thing they got in the corner? Oh, amazing. And this is the world we're living in. Everything is fast. Yeah. Everything is quick. Like you're scrolling through Facebook. Like if someone's scrolling through Facebook, you've got like half a second to grab someone on a video that plays automatically. Yeah. And what would you say I mean, I don't want to give away too many secrets, but the key factors in a video on Facebook, what grabs people, what would you say is most important?
It sounds like a silly thing. It sounds like you wouldn't even think about it. One of the biggest ones is subtitles, because most of those videos don't start with the music, the audio, unless you click on them. So I think obviously you want to be in your face, quite obviously very vivid. So the colours, the picture needs to be, it sort of stands out at you. Mm-hmm. But the human eye, if it sees words, it wants to read them. So if you don't have those subtitles on, you're not going to catch people. That's why a lot of the big businesses take the time to go and punch their subtitles. And you can get these programs which pretty much try and predict what, like on teletext and that. Yeah. But the amount of times, if you sit in a doctor's surgery or whatever, you've got a TV on, the amount of times they get that wrong.
we used to use we still do. We use Headliner to make little video things, and there is a transcript thing, an auto thing that you're on about. But because it switches from American to English back and to, it gets confused. So some of the things I say sometimes really inappropriate. I mean, the visual thing is important as well. It's got to be quite striking. Yeah. What are some of the no-nos then?
I think that some of them are pretty basic as well. It's things like make sure that that you haven't got shaky footage, that sort of stuff. It sounds like an obvious one, but the amount of people who put videos out. I won't name names to embarrass anyone, because we've all got to start somewhere.
Alex Whiteley for the video he made for the competition.
But it's little things like, okay, that looks a bit shaky. And the thing is, you put all this effort into making a video. Even bad videos take as long to edit as good videos. You might as well do it right. And on a bad video, you think, well, you've put all this effort in, probably spent some money to put it all together. And if anything, no matter how good your business might be, no matter what your good intentions are, because the video is not good quality, people are going to automatically assume you're not good quality. It's like with websites. A bad website is better than no website.
Yeah.
It's if you do it properly, or just leave it to the pros. Yeah.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. You got to add quality into what you're showing people. Yeah.
And the thing is, the quality. I'm not trying to sort of make a mockery of my own industry or anything, but the quality stuff, they're quite basics. It's not like you've got to have some super fancy camera. Today's day and age, an iPhone, like as you prove with your short film, you don't need to have the best of the best. But the basics people get wrong sometimes. It's just not putting it on a tripod. It's that sort of stuff.
Well, I'm talking about my phone. They sent me the critique list and the scorecard, and they were like, they actually said we did not find it enjoyable. They actually said that to me.
That's good feedback, isn't it?
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, I think the concept was great, but
I liked it. I thought it was very clever. The whole what do you call it? Oh, what's the film?
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. That was it. Yeah.
So to the listeners listening that don't know what I'm talking about, my idea for the short film was during lockdown, the same day repeating. So a guy wakes up, he speaks to his mate on his phone. It's very R-rated, very raw, which is why I can't put it on the biscuit page. And his kid shouts he wants toast. Then he has this conversation with his friend who's Lucy down south, and he wakes up again and relives the same day again and again and again and again. And I thought it was really good. And then I threw loads of like animation-y bits at the end where everything's going a bit crazy, and then it just cuts out. But yeah, my quality wasn't brilliant, and I guess I swore a lot. I was speaking to my dad actually last night. I rang my dad for Father's Day, and he's a grumpy old guy in Ireland. I love him to bits. But he was like, you swear a lot on those podcasts. When people hear that, all they think is you're very immature. And I was like, yeah, but we like it. Yeah. But he's got a point, and that's probably what they saw in what I released. If I'm honest, they probably saw me talking a bit about weed and swearing stuff with Tom, and they were like, these guys are idiots,
Yeah, I think it's almost like you have a different version of yourself depending on who you're talking to, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've noticed that. I mean, I think because Rocking Horse has always been, we call it the Rocking Horse family, basically, which is what it says it is. It's based on loyalty, it's based on having each other's backs, that kind of thing. So whilst you get involved with each other for a professional purpose, people tend to stick with us, you know? And then we look after each other. But at the same time, you develop automatic friendships with all these people. So it becomes very much based on passion rather than, say, if you just had a job and you got paid every week, and they get paid more than the Rocking Horse family ever do. But when things go wrong, it hurts more. Yeah. You know? And because of that, I've noticed, and I probably still have this issue to an extent, I mean, you're friends with me on Facebook, is that's the quickest way to get hold of me, to know about the business. But there are probably times, you know, after a night out or whatever, and you think, do I want everyone seeing that? You know, and it's just working, like it's social media again, you know, good and bad. They can find my business, but they can also find me and think, oh, am I proud of all those selfies?
Exactly. And we had Jen Eastwood as well from Rock Rose Digital. She said that very much. She says it a lot, is that you've got to keep your professional and your social sort of...
and that is tough.
Yeah.
Especially when your business is pretty much, your whole friendship network is pretty much all from the business anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I use Facebook to vent a lot, you know. I mean, I should create... I mean, I do have a Podking account. I created as a joke. Somebody from the team was like, you need a professional account because you don't want people seeing what's going on in your personal life. So I was like, okay. I created a Facebook page called the Podking. I think I got 9 followers.
I'll like it after.
I need to do something different because I do like a rant on Facebook, especially with the Black Lives Matter. I mean, my mental health, I don't have serious mental health problems, but I do have bad days where I'm just kind of like, and
don't we all?
You'll see it. You've seen it before. You know, that I do like a rant. So you do need to keep that separately. My biscuit pages are kept very professional, very, very kind of, you know, free flowing, but at the same time, you won't see me talking about.
That's it, yeah. And we've always, to be fair, we've always done that. The Rocking Horse page doesn't have any of that, But speaking of that, before we were talking about bad videos that I was proud of at the time, when we're getting ready to rebrand and resurrect ourselves, I did think of going back and like being real harsh on myself and getting rid of any videos that aren't completely like A grade. And I realised there's so many of them that would be for different things.
You need to keep them though, I think.
I think so too, because it shows you growth, doesn't it?
I've still got pictures from. When I first, before like 6 months before we even started, I mean, Thorskin, my first ever project. I mean, it was meant to be called. In fact, the group that I created with all the friends that are going to be part of it is still active on Facebook. It was meant to be called the 4-Star Geekly News before it was Thorskin, you know, because that's my progression. That's how good I've got. This is, I mean, I'm sitting in a studio with these amazing mics with you. He's come over from Oswestry. I spoke to, you know, I'm doing all these things, but based on what I did at the beginning.
Yeah.
And you learn from those mistakes. And the reason I'm going on this weird, strange monologue is you're saying you ask for a second chance, and I feel like everybody does. You know, you make great products. You're offering a great service to people to help with their businesses, and you deserve that. You deserve that second chance.
Yeah, because saying I've apologised to the cast and all that. There's probably there is. I won't name them now, but. There's a few businesses that we've let down as well, to be honest, because I think my biggest issue, which is why I've had to do a lot of soul searching on this, is I say yes to everything, whether or not I can deliver or not. Because when I say yes, I mean it. Yeah. I think I can. I can get that edited and however long. I'm like, that's fine. I'll get that filmed. We'll do all that. And often, because I want to help a lot of these businesses, I've undercut myself and charged nowhere near what I should do. But then because it's not paying, I can't get anyone else involved to help me do it. So it takes me longer. So this thing that started out as a nice gesture, by the end of it, I've let them down because their video is late or non-existent because I didn't charge them enough in the first place. But it was all done with the intent of doing the right thing and helping someone, you know. So
is it a case of having someone to guide you in the right direction now?
Exactly, and as I said, that's what I've got more of a team around me now. I've always had a lot of a team around me, but I don't have I do have the final say, I suppose, but it's not just me now. Rather than before, the dynamic was everyone answered to me, whereas now it's more of there's a few of us who are putting together almost like a committee, if you like.
I love the team I have around me. I know I'm relating to you right now. You know. I love the team I have around me because I don't have yes men around me. I have people that will tell me how it is.
That's it.
And I'm going to read a message out to you. I had a real panic on Saturday because what had happened was. I was meant to be interviewing a fitness instructor from he's from Georgia. That was it, from Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
And he's a big deal. He's huge. He's amazing. And Tom Bruno, my co-host, hadn't got in touch with me, and I didn't know whether he was joining me. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I had a complete panic attack. I didn't have a guest, a co-host with me. And me and Tom are the essence of what makes that show great. So I was having this panic attack. I was like, oh my God. And then I threw this message on the group that I didn't have, so can someone stand in? Then Lucy got in touch. Tom Stevens, the other guy, got in touch. These names don't matter, but they're great people. And then I was panicking about the fact that I needed to let one person down because the two people had got in touch, and I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So Jamie sent me this message. Jamie Westwood, who hosts Superhero Bar Fight for us. Alex, remember last night when you were telling me to stop worrying and panicking? Listen to your own advice. Haha. If Bruno can't do it, you got backup, and you always smash this out. Expletive deleted out of the park. Even when you're worried and stressed, you got this no matter what, brother. And like that message is both a slap around the face and you've got it, you know. And I love having people around you that do that because it grounds you.
Yeah, it does. And that's what we've got. I mean, I keep talking about this girl Charlie who works with us, who's like my best friend anyway, but what's great about her is because she doesn't have any background with the feature film, so while she obviously is in full support of it and she can't wait to get cracking on it, she doesn't have this almost this blind passion that I've had for all these years. And a lot of the people who still work with me today, who have stuck with me since the days of the feature film, a lot of them, we were guided by this overwhelming belief, you know, we were going to run towards this film no matter what. We were going to make it happen no matter what mistakes we won't make along the way. Sometimes what you need is someone who isn't so committed to it in a passionate way, who can look at it and go
impartial, who
can look and go, no, but we need to make money here first, you know. That video, which you might not think is as important, which I'll admit there were times when I thought, now I want to get on with my script, I don't want to do this maybe sort of not so interesting corporate video. She would now say no, because if we don't get these small things done, which might not seem as interesting, you don't get to play with the big toy, which is the feature film. So Charlie and others like her are great for just reminding me every now and again, look, yeah, you got a great idea, but you're going about it the wrong way. I'm sure you've got people like that as well, and you need that.
Yeah, both teams, the USUC and the Biscuit team. I love that, because as good as I am at putting things like this together, making the interviews, editing it, getting it out and stuff like that, sometimes I don't write contingency plans, or I don't, and I'll be like, and then the guys will be like, calm down, Alex, we got this.
Yeah,
we're Team Biscuit, not Team Alex. And I'm like, and I love that.
You know? Absolutely, yeah.
Gareth, you've been amazing. I would like to give you the opportunity to tell people, if they wanted to use you as a tool to promote their business, how can they get in touch with you?
There's the Facebook page, which at the minute is still Rocking Horse Studios Ltd. But if you can't find that, search Rocking Horse Studios, because Rocking Horse, sorry, that's going to change soon. The best way to get in touch with us is if you phone the office, which is an Oswestry number, 01691 570 218. Or you can just pop us an email, and there's a new email address, bear with me, it's gareth.rockinghorse@icloud.com is the best one to get us on.
Okay, well, I'll get you to write them down. We'll put them on the bottom of the podcast readout, because like I said, you know, a lot of the country are in recovery now with what's happened with the post-lockdown. So I feel like, you know, if you want to jazz up your business with a bit of media coverage, then this is the best way to do it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining me, and thank you for helping me in my moment of need as well.
My pleasure.
I mean, I know we're planning something with Ben Butler soon.
Yes, we are. Yeah. I'm looking forward to working with Ben again. Yeah,
we'll talk more about that, because me and Ben get on really well now. I mean, he came on the show. And he rings me every now and again. What's up, Alex? How's it going? I'm doing this. I'm doing that. You want to do something? And I'm like, yeah. We have these really long chats. It's great. It's nice that the Biscuits give me a good friend out of that. So, and yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me, guys. Make sure you check out our website too, which is www.theshrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk. All of our audio is on there, and it's lovingly made for our friends at Web Orchard. Check them out. If you need a website making as well for your business, check out Web Orchard. They are fantastic, and they offer a great looking website for great prices as well. And the guys there are brilliant at talking to people. And this episode is brought to you from Biscuit Studios at the Parade Shopping Centre in Shrewsbury. It's open now. Come and have a look around. This place is fantastic. I love being part of this building and working here because it's such an elaborate, beautiful, historic building. And come and have a look. It's great. Gareth, thank you again.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you guys next time.